Good evening. Welcome to Good Guy Sports. I'm Jack Gerke, and welcome out with Blake Gerke and Mike Roby. Before we get into our sport topics, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the people in Mali who have been devastated by the wildfires, and we're thinking of them, and we're sending them out with their families and taking care of one another. Wishing the best, and we're all thinking of them, and we just want to just get a shout out to them that we are praying and hope for them and wish that they we're sending them for their recovery and their support.
Well said, Jackson. Thank you.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, we care by we care by every other person, everyone's who's in need, and that's what the show is here for, as we're a family run program. That's all I got to say. All right, let's move on now to sports and get down to our first topic here. The first off is I want to talk about the 5 things for college football. The first one I want to talk about is the big game out here, like Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan, and Texas. Maybe Alfredo, Georgia, in in there. That's the first one. Now the second topic is the coolest mascots. For my list, I've got the Stanford Tree, Brutus Buckeye, Sparty, Mike the Tiger, and Big Red from Bowling Green, which I have on my list. I'm not sure why I do, but
Where's Mike the Tiger from?
From LSU.
Interesting. That seems like a very generic name for mascot, Mike the Tiger.
All Mikes are tigers.
Is that so? That means that
I'll
you're a
tell you
tiger?
what, we got to talk about.
I had no idea.
We got to talk about that background for a second. I mean, wow, just way to make my heart warm with that background. We got a little Gardner Webb background right there. Does not go on.
I'm just sitting here out in Spangler Stadium.
That's awesome.
All right, well, great to join Blake Blomberger for the conversation, even though he is breaking up a bit. But anyway, let's continue on to my five things in my college football list. Big time coaches: Nick Saban, Bear Bryant, Tom Osborne are my top 3 in that list, followed by the best uniforms, which are Oregon, which we all can agree on. They are by far the best looking uniform, probably in all of college football and maybe college sports. Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. And then finally, the big time rivalries: Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan in the game, and that's where and those are my top things to look for in the college football season. Any thoughts you like to share?
I like those points. Do you think that there's going to be a bit of competition at the top this year in terms of who's going to make the playoffs? Is it going to be the playoffs are going to be a Final Four this year in college football? Is that correct?
According to my sources, absolutely.
I think this is the last. Next year is the expansion.
They're moving to 8 next year?
They're expanding the college playoffs or football.
So it's going to be to eight teams then? Is that right? I think right?
So.
Yeah. So do we think there's going to be competition for Alabama and Georgia this year, Jack? Or is it going to be kind of this similar teams? Is there going to be like a fresh team in the mix this year?
The only team that I can think of is Ohio State, which I hear is going to be the favorites to win the national championship. But other than that, I don't really have.
Well, I think Georgia is the favorites to win the national championship now.
Yeah. I think Ohio State and Clemson are the top 2, and other than that, that's all who I got. But yeah, I agree with you. Clemson and Ohio State should be the top two contenders, and who are right there with Bama and Georgia. And yeah, that's who I have.
I don't know. I'm not too sure about Clemson though, to be honest. I don't feel like I feel like they've kind of lost their luster these past couple of years. I'm not sure they're the same Clemson that we saw like even like 4 or 5 years ago with Trevor Lawrence and stuff like that. I feel like if they don't have a superstar quarterback like Trevor Lawrence or somebody of that nature, not too convinced about them. I think this could be the year we see a team like USC make a leap, given the amount of resources they invested into bringing in head coach Lincoln Riley over to that program and getting all of his recruits over there. I feel like maybe this will be the year that they make the big Pac-12 team makes, although the conferences are kind of all over the place now, but a Pac-12 team makes, although I guess they're not Pac-12 anymore technically, but maybe a West Coast team like USC might enter the mix this year.
That's a very good point for adding more like Big Ten teams out in the West Coast and traveling to different time zones and having to deal with all that travel and just having to deal with classes the next day. Yeah, I find that hard if I were a student athlete and just trying to be tired and exhausted. And yeah, that just makes it tough nowadays for what college sports is.
Did you guys talk about the conference realignment a lot so far, Jack?
Not this week. We talked a lot about it last week.
Last week, yeah.
Right.
It's definitely
The Pac-4.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna make the sport more difficult to follow. I personally am not really a huge fan of all of the teams joining random conferences. I think a sport like college football is kind of relies on tradition a lot more so than other sports. So I tend to feel like if we have all the teams moving around, you kind of lose a lot of that element. I feel like a sport like college football really benefits from traditions and rivalries and stuff like that. And I suppose you still have rivalries with teams moving to conferences, but it'll definitely take some getting used to. I just don't know how it's gonna be like having a team like USC and the Big Ten playing like we have like USC versus Wisconsin or something like that. Like it's gonna be an adjustment for sure.
I think is also going to be an adjustment for the basketball.
Yeah, everyone forgets about the other sports, right?
I mean,
Everyone's just focusing on football.
You got a lot of rivalries in basketball, and they start changing conferences and such.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the athletes for the smaller sports maybe are getting left behind, where you feel like it's the benefits would be felt from the football team, but like a lot of the smaller sports with the conference changing around, it's a little different. I don't know. I feel like the NCAA maybe should have stepped in and done their job a little bit more here, but
it all comes down to money.
The almighty dollar.
And streaming services and all that. It's going to change a lot. Which
I find it hard to believe for people who don't really pay for it, because let me give you a example of that. So companies like Apple TV Plus and Peacock, I think, are one of the two that I can think of. That are one of them that's signed a deal with the Pac-12 and I'm sorry, Big 12 or whoever they signed a contract with. Not everyone's going to be having the money for it or to pay for this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, like for anyone that doesn't like pay for this kind of stuff, like for example, Aunt Lori and Uncle Mike don't really pay that kind of stuff because they don't have the budget to like
Ouch.
It's just It's just they don't have the money for it. That's my point.
No, that's not true, Jackson. People pay for the packages of the sports that they want. So Uncle Mike pays for the MLB package because he likes to watch MLB, whereas he doesn't pay for other packages, just like
Jackson,
we do.
do you have any idea how much it costs him to get that background, the rights to that Gardner Webb background? That's why he can't afford the package. He's doing this for the show.
Yeah, everyone
He's probably
allocates their
putting-
resources differently.
And a sizable amount of bets on the Nationals have not favored his way as well. So he's down a little bit because of that as well.
Hey, now, since July 8th, the Nationals are 20-12.
No way. Do they have a chance?
No, they don't have a chance because they played so horribly in the first part of the season. But there's only 5 teams playing better than the Nationals since July 8th.
Wow.
So
Okay.
we are
something to hang your hat on to.
We've won 13 of the last 16 home games.
Yeah, you see, Jack, it's not all doom and
Hey.
gloom in the Casa de Roby, is it?
No, I am looking very optimistic for next year.
Even though it's too little, too late to even get a position to be in the hunt for the wild card or making a postseason run. Even though even though you and Lori are looking forward to 2024, which I think is which I hear bigger and better things are yet to come, and I think that we are all in for it.
Yeah. I'll just have to root for my second favorite team. That's all.
So what else are we for college football? What else are we keeping an eye out for? Are Blake and Jackson's Gamecocks going to make a step up this year, or what's going on there?
Well, the last time we talked about them, I have projected a 7-5 record after reviewing their schedule of who they're playing and who they have to go up against. That's really where we are as of right now, and I can tell you it is going to be one of the toughest schedules in all of the SEC. And
is that right?
It's going to be grinding, and I think it's going to be just one of those like toughest opponents you got to deal with, and that's just going to be one of those games that's going to be not easy and going to have to deal with, and that's why the Gamecocks just don't like where they're at right now, even though they'll find a way to win some games, but it won't be like a 10, but they won't have like a 10 win season, not even close. And I think that they will be I think they'll make a bowl game, but it won't be that kind of season where you have a team like may make a 10 in a row. It won't be you're never going to be going undefeated, but at least they'll be winning and losing the games at the same time. But
So I understand they're going to have a
listen. It is going to be that kind of a season for the Gamecocks, and they're just going to have to deal with some your opponents that you're going to have to deal with year in and year out. But
they're going to have a much more streamlined offense than they did last year with the new offensive coordinator coming in.
Yeah, right. I'm a little more bullish than you are, Jack. I'm looking at the schedule right now. It's not exactly a murderer's row from my point of view. I think on paper obviously, I think in terms of SEC wise, I think it could be a lot worse. The first game is actually a neutral site game here in North Carolina against the Tar Heels in the Duke's Mayo Classic. But apart from that, apart from that, like UGA away is a loss. Obviously, Tennessee away is probably a loss, but A&M away would be a loss as well. But apart from that, you've got some decent home games. Clemson, obviously. So I don't know. You don't have to play any of the super highly ranked teams like Alabama, LSU, either of the Mississippi teams. So like we at Vanderbilt as well benefit from that being in the SEC East, getting to avoid some tougher games. So I don't know. I wouldn't totally punt on I know you're not punting on the season, but looking at it from a neutral point of view, I think you've got some winnable games in there. So I think the same can be said
I'm not going to be
Same
pushing
thing-
the panic button on them
Yeah,
yet to see
definitely.
how the season plays out. So, like you said, and
I say the same thing about Vanderbilt as well, because schedule, on paper is not, apart from the obvious games like Georgia, Florida, and Mississippi and all that. Those, I mean, obviously those are tough games, but the
But
SEC.
Vanderbilt's not supposed to have a good football team. It's just not traditional.
True, but sometimes traditions are meant to be broken, Uncle Mike. And I think their first game of the year is in Hawaii, or not in Hawaii. It's at home, but they are playing Hawaii.
Mhm.
So the Hawaiian team's going to bring some good vibes. They're going to bring all the island.
They bring some Maui Wowie with them.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be
Yeah.
emotional as well because of all the wildfires and stuff over there. So that will be a huge game to start the season. Who knows? They got game against Wake Forest non-conference, Kentucky, Missouri, Florida. They all look beatable to me. So I think the SEC East is not as crazy as it used to be, probably. So, keep an eye out for it. You could have a surprise package in the SEC East this year.
now that September 2nd game against UNC, that is a Saturday night prime time.
The Duke's Mayo Classic.
Yep, and that's and that week, College Game Day will be there, and that's something that I also want to point out.
Yeah, it's a bit of interesting matchup. I don't know exactly historically where North Carolina and South Carolina, obviously being in different conferences, UNC being more of a basketball school. If memory serves correct, they've played a couple times in bowl games. A lot of those bowl games, SEC ACC matchups historically. Even I'm pretty sure even the Belk Bowl in Charlotte where they're playing this game, they've matched up in that bowl game before. But yeah, it's maybe a kind of an untapped rivalry there. The two main Carolina schools, right? So it's an interesting matchup on paper.
I would have to agree with you on that, and having so much hype with the Battle of the Carolinas and how it's going to be, where it's going to be like from one side to another, going to be divided, and from one fan base to another, it's just going to be that kind of feel for this kind of kickoff for this atmosphere kind of game, and I can tell you there's going to be a lot of buzz going around in the Queen City of Charlotte, and there's going to be a lot of hype over there, and that's all I can say for anyone who's from there. I can tell you all about it, and there's going to be a lot of. All I can say is there's going to be a lot of excitement for that kind of a game to start your season off.
Yeah, it's a fun matchup. It's a fun curtain raiser for sure. I think the same can be said about Duke versus Clemson on Labor Day. We talked about that game a lot a couple weeks ago when we were at Wallace Wade Stadium. But yeah, I think anytime you've got a big game in the first week of the season in college football versus a big opponent, it's certainly it's high risk, high reward. If you lose, it's kind of start your season off on a sour note, and it might be all downhill from there. But if you get a big surprise victory over a highly ranked opponent, it's a big kickstart, right? And can really get the season going. So I think a team like Duke would really relish the opportunity to get Clemson the first game of the year. Maybe they're not particularly warmed up. They're still shaking off the cobwebs and all that. So yeah, I don't know. It could be an opportunity to catch them cold, as they say. If you look at the slate, there's a couple of interesting matchups, like LSU, Florida State. That's a big game as well, isn't it? Down in Orlando on that Sunday night game. West Virginia, Penn State's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'll have my eyes on the Duke's Mayo Classic though on Saturday for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, most viewers and most people will be tuned in. So I would have to agree with you on that. it's prime time. It's on ABC, and that's what most TV audience want to see for the prime time game for that week, right? So I think that's what they're going to be tuned in for.
Should we move on to our next topic today?
Yeah, sure. Sure, we can move on to
We talk a little NFL, or what's what are we talking now?
yeah, sure. Let's revisit the baseball segment before we talk about some other sports.
Okay.
So I want to get to the latest right now and actually talk about with the latest going on right now with the latest going on right now in the baseball settings. Right now the Braves have the best record in MLB.
Oof, what a series, huh?
Even though I'm not buying it just yet, and
Oof.
one of these shows I'm going
You
to
better start buying. It's
Yeah,
gonna
one of the shows,
it's running out soon.
yeah, one of the shows I'm going to explain why the best record doesn't win the postseason, because I think I can
What?
yeah, because I can make
Wait
it
a
up,
minute.
but
You're gonna tell me why the Braves are gonna lose? I don't know if I want to hear this.
well, listen, a perfect example. I want to bring one of our guests on for our show for whatever that's going to happen. A perfect example of that would be the Boston Bruins had the best regular season record in the NHL.
Or the 2012 Nationals. Best record in baseball. One and done in the playoffs.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I feel like hockey is not comparable because historically there's been so many playoff upsets. I mean, I don't know. I have to obviously I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like in terms of playoff upsets, I guess they introduced the wild card fairly recently, so there's a bit more variance. But I feel like historically, the best teams in baseball usually at least get to the World Series. I mean, am I off base here? Or?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it all really comes down to who's going to be hot, who gets hot in October.
Particularly
really is
on the mound, right?
Yeah, it's really but
But
Braves are
if I were the Braves, and if I were
Braves are so hot.
yeah, Braves are hot, but if I were in the but if you're in October and the Braves have won the division and you're entering the postseason, then all of a sudden anything can happen where you have to face a team like the Dodgers or in that case a surprise team, the Phillies, that you have to go up against because those players will show up and if this Phillies team stays healthy, you have to watch out because they can be a threat to the Braves if they have to go up against a team, and that is a team that you would not want to face against because we've seen what happened to them a year ago going up against a red hot Phillies team in the postseason, especially in October. You've got to be careful because the Phillies will find a way to win a series if the Braves aren't able to get it done. And that's just that's just going to be my take right there.
Well, one of the things that makes the playoffs a lot different is the games are either the best of 5 or best of 7.
Right.
And in the regular season, it's usually 3-game series, sometimes a 4-game series. But now all of a sudden you're playing, the best of 5 or best of 7. So that makes it a little bit different. But I go back to the Braves. Top 3 now in ball. Is number 2. Acuna is 3. I mean, that's telling right there.
Yeah, that's what I take the point of, like, in the playoffs anything can happen, but the reason that I'm confident that they would at least win the National League is because of the historical dominance of the offense this year. I think just the lineup is just so strong in a way that you don't really ever get to see.
Yeah. Well, there's nobody
So
else in the National League.
it would be quite the freak if all of a sudden their lineup just went completely cold in the playoffs. You can certainly quibble with the pitching if you have an issue with the bullpen.
Yeah.
Maybe they brought in a lefty reliever, nobody really big name. But honestly, I mean, Spencer Strider has probably been one of the most consistent pitchers in the one of the most consistent starters in the National League this year. I was watching Morton yesterday absolutely destroy Aaron Judge with his off-speed pitching as well. So
Yeah.
and
Fried is back. He's healthy.
Correct. So we had a couple of the reason we didn't, or at least the reason the general manager would say that we didn't go out and get a big starting pitcher is because we had a couple guys coming back from injury, Fried being one of them.
Yeah.
Soroka might come in and have a spot start or come in for relief in the postseason. So we've got people to throw out depending on the matchup as well. But yeah.
Well, in the playoffs, you usually only have 4 starters.
Correct. So having depth is more important in your lineup versus on the mound in the postseason.
I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that the 2019 Nationals were a wild card team. The Braves won the division in 2019.
Yeah, this is true, and we lost to the wild card team,
and they went 1 and done. Yeah. So.
And the Phillies made it, and another team that I wanted to mention, the Phillies made it to the World Series last year.
You keep bringing up the Phillies. We get it, all right.
They almost won the World Series. They ended up losing.
Yeah.
They were so close to getting it.
Hey, listen, my friend, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's just a perfect. But just to give you an idea, that's just what October baseball should really be about. Those sneaky teams just somehow.
Yeah, listen, there's going to be there's always at least one upset, right? So last year the Braves got upset. Yeah, actually last year both National League teams got upset. It was a surprise National League Championship Series with Philadelphia and San Diego.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of the Yankees,
yes,
they are now below 500. And they're 6.5 games out of the wild card hunt.
Yeah.
They may be sitting at home.
Unfamiliar territory.
I don't know if Uncle Mike ever pays attention to I don't know if do you even care and pay attention to the outside noise of the New York media? If you ever read articles from the Post or from the Times or whatever, people up there are just going out of their mind for where both New York teams are, the Mets and the Yankees. They have no idea what they've got into. Thought it was going to be their season to win the division, but then all of a sudden, things have become a downhill ever since, and they are. Since early July 4th, they are not heading in the right direction, and it's become and everything has turned upside down ever since, and that's where the fall of the people up in New York don't want to hear about, but they are
the Mets have a good chance of finishing in last. They're only 1 game ahead of the Nationals.
Yeah.
And did you know the Orioles and the Rays both have combined payrolls this year less than what the Mets were paying Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander?
It's crazy. It's got to be the biggest underachievement in MLB history based off of the payroll and the subsequent record. I would have to imagine.
The 2 smallest payrolls in the AL East are 1-2.
It's crazy. It goes to show there's still room on the margins. You don't have to be the biggest spenders to succeed in baseball, do you?
No, you just have to. You got to have a team of people who are just gelling as a team, and a lot of young guys coming in and really wanting to play. That it's really hard to buy a championship.
Yep.
I will say I was thinking recently because I've seen how well the Orioles are doing, and it just smells like they're gonna get disappointed in the playoffs because I feel like there's always a team like Baltimore that kind of defies expectations and has a really good record, but is not particularly experienced in the playoffs, and then kind of lays an egg once they get into the postseason. And I'm full transparency, I'm definitely rooting for them. We obviously got a lot of family that's or the Orioles fans, so I'm definitely hoping they do well in the postseason.
Yeah.
But they seem like the typical team that makes a leap and overachieves in the regular season and then possibly falters in the playoffs due to lack of experience. But I hope it doesn't happen, but that's just kind of what I'm feeling right now.
Hey, Jack, I got a quick update for you.
Yeah.
Nationals 3, Red Sox 1.
I know.
Bottom of the 5th.
I'm watching it on my ESPN app right now, and
What are we on? Sports Center right now?
Joey
like it,
Meneses.
although what it is
Two-run
right now
double.
is giving you live score updates when we're doing our Good Guys Sports Show, which I kind of love doing, which should be one of my things we do from now on. Ever since we get like live sports and live updates.
Coming to you live, Good Guys Sports, Nationals 3, Red Sox.
Did you see Tatis steal home?
No.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes. Listen.
The Orioles were napping,
I
and he
did see the
just
highlights of that game, and I gotta say, a walk-off single, and that had made Nationals fans feel better. And I do want to bring Blake Lumber into the conversation with us because he's been muted for us for quite a while. But we've had two walk-off singles on the same day. What the Marlins did go on the win, and yes, they did beat the Yankees, and on that Sunday, on the same day where the Nationals beat the Athletics, where they were up, I want to say like 5 or 7 before entering the ninth until the Nationals
7-2 in the bottom of the ninth. We scored 6 runs.
They rallied with 6 runs, and yes, and they found a way to win, and that is how it made every National fan send home happy after that win, and you got to think they've got to feel good after that win, despite that you're not even near a hunt for a playoff spot, for a wild card, or even worse in that case, the division. Nowhere even near, but at least you're finding a way to win games late, even though it's like you said, too late to even make a playoff run. But at least you're winning some games, and even though you're not the Orioles yet, but at least the Mets are, from what I'm hearing seems like the Mets and the Nationals. Well, I'm hearing from the owner Steve Cohen, and that they want to build on 2025 instead of 2024 because they do. Because my guess is they do things differently for their organization and for their farm system. So they have a bunch of their pitchers are just getting younger, and they're getting sending them more to the minor league system, to like AAA Syracuse and other AAA teams around the region there. So that's why they're taking their time, and just maybe 2024, but I'm hearing most likely 2025 for their to even be competitive, but nowhere near the Braves. But I'm saying like a 3 or 4 place finish for them. But the Braves in that division will be good for years to come. But the Mets, they will be. I am hearing from their press conferences, and for what I'm hearing, in 2025 as the latest for according to my sources, and that's what I have to report for the latest surrounding the Mets, and that's where they are, and that's where they're probably going to be.
it's a Big Apple disaster all around with the
Yeah.
Mets and Yankees this year. I was watching the couple of games last night against New York. Nice little weekday viewing of Braves Yankees, kind of bringing back those 90s World Series vibes. But yeah, I mean they're kind of a mess, to be honest. They seem like they're super patched together. They've got big names: Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. The rest of the lineup, it's not exactly sending shivers down my spines, is it? So I think it's, to be honest, I think it's a poorly assembled roster up there in the Bronx, and I feel like the people making the roster decisions, general manager, probably overstayed their welcome, given the expectations of that team. So wouldn't surprise me if some changes are made in the dugout, possibly a new manager, possibly a new GM next season. But I mean, at least the Mets, tried to spend money. They spend it poorly, obviously, but well, I mean, okay, you can't say the Yankees don't spend money because obviously they have a ginormous payroll, but tough to see where exactly that money is being spent. I know they've had injuries, but everyone has injuries.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to be one of the fans of one of those teams, because if you don't win the World Series, you've had a losing season.
Yeah, exactly. You're really beholden to your own expectations. So that's why I'm surprised they've kind of kept that core together for as long as they have. Past couple of years, they haven't really done much, have they? So,
hey, I would give a shout out to Luke Raley. I think with the Rays, they inside the park home run in San Francisco.
No way. How'd it happen?
Yeah, beautiful. It's standing up inside the park home run.
Corner of the fence in the outfield.
Yeah,
corner of the edge.
and
yeah?
then it rolled on the top of the wall and then past the center fielder.
Jeez, holy smokes!
And he was, by the time he was circling around third base, they still hadn't thrown it in yet. It was,
and they didn't have Bo Jackson to throw it from the warning track in the air all the way to the catcher and skip the cutoff man.
It was a good thing.
All right, now well, that's great information right there. The
Jackson, have you talked about the upset alert this weekend? Or I'm sorry, one of the first weeks of football. Have you talked about the upset alert?
We not yet. We're not quite ready.
Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I know, but we're not quite ready to make that prediction yet. We're still like a few weeks away from the start of
personal information given to me by current football players on this team that there could be an upset brewing. Just I mean, that's called on the field reporting right there. Happened in class today. Insider information.
Did it really?
Insider information from NCAA athletic current athletes inside of class. I'll tell you later. Keep going.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So anyway,
when are you going to Vegas?
NCAA tournament. Oh man, that would be so great. We all got to be there. Blake, I will say this too. I've got a student from Wells, soccer player in my class, and apparently one of the most hyped teams on Gardner-Webb's campus is the men's soccer team. They are expected to do big things. They got a new coach who brought a bunch of players in, and I was shocked the amount of students that showed up to the soccer game. There must have been 200.
Interesting. Yeah. So that's one of the bigger sports.
300 students watching the men's soccer team. 120% humidity yesterday at Gardner-Webb.
Wow. So
and he's a Man U fan. He's from
wow.
Wells, and he's a Man U fan. Not a Man City fan, but a Man U.
Very interesting. Yeah. Is that one of the better performing teams at that school historically, or soccer?
No, I'm not sure. I've got no clue. I just know I talked to somebody. I said, why are so many people here? And they said they got big expectations this year. They're supposed to do big things at Gardner-Webb. So, and I believe because it was so hot, they were allowed to take a timeout. I don't know if it was one per half or one per game, but they took a timeout in the middle of that first half because it was so hot. The teams can elect a timeout.
That's crazy. Yeah, that seems nowadays you got to play as late into the day as possible, given the heat running around all day, and
They
that
played
is
at
insufferable.
5 p.m.
Mm.
Might have been the hottest part of the day. 5 p.m. I think they even went to the field to try to cool it down a little bit.
You're breaking up,
Yeah.
Blake. You're breaking up.
No, yeah, I heard him. He said that they played at 5 p.m. Yeah,
But
5
hey,
p.m. It's kind of the apex. Yeah.
David Beckham is I'm sorry, not David Beckham, but you guys got me now. We back?
Yep, we're here.
Yep.
We're here.
I was gonna say Messi. Did we talk about Messi not playing in Charlotte? Did we talk about that last week? How he's not gonna play in Charlotte?
No, he did
I
play
know
in
of.
Charlotte. He did.
He
Oh,
did?
wait. So do you mean no, they played a game against Charlotte in Miami last week. Is that what we're talking about?
No, when he comes to Charlotte, he's not gonna play.
Oh, interesting. Well, because they're playing in like a separate
Artificial
tournament.
turf. He won't play on
Oh,
turf.
interesting. I didn't
Yep.
know
In
that. So
Charlotte,
that
the Panthers have a turf field, and so he won't play.
Something tells me he's not a big fan of playing on surface playing on turf surface playing fields.
And they won't
yeah,
and they won't switch it out to grass for one player. How dare them not roll in a whole field of grass for him to play on? Come on, Jackson.
Like, why would he even do this? It's a bit ridiculous.
well, you do hear that a lot from soccer players like here in MLS or where in the US that the turf for soccer is particularly tough because the ball bounces differently. It's and like it bounces more and it's a bit more unpredictable. In addition, people say like the lateral movements and stuff, you're more likely to possibly injure your knee and stuff like that. I guess that's the case for like any sport
Yep,
on turf. So I'm
I
not
think
sure
so.
that's soccer specific, but particularly the way the ball bounces people complain about. But yeah, I mean, I guess Messi and MLS can kind of decide, what he wants to do, where he wants to do it. So that's not a big surprise.
Speaking of Mike and his subscriptions, they said Apple doubled in subscriptions for the MLS because of Messi. Once Messi joined, Apple's MLS subscriptions doubled just because of one player.
I believe it.
Yeah, I was talking with our dad about this recently, about how like a lot of the streaming services, particularly like here in the US, for example, where soccer is more of like a niche sport, it does make a lot of sense for a company like Apple or ESPN Plus or like Peacock or something like that to kind of grab as many like soccer rights as they can because it's a smaller audience, but there's also a more loyal audience, and particularly like you said, there's with Messi, there's a whole international scope as well, where like MLS can sell their international rights to people from South America or even Europe that want to
Who
watch
doesn't want to watch
Messi.
Yellowstone and MLS back to back? Maybe see
Exactly,
some
exactly.
Yellowstone, watch MLS
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
back.
I guess Yellowstone would be, yeah, they have on Peacocks. I guess that's on Peacock. I think maybe for that'd be
That's
like
Paramount.
Premier League or Paramount. Yes, that'd be
Paramount,
Champions.
Yellowstone's on Paramount.
Yeah, so you got
There we
Champions
go,
League
sorry.
and Yellowstone, and then on Apple TV you can watch Ted Lasso and then throw on some Messi for a little soccer doubleheader there. But
Wait, I think you just hit it. That's actually the most brilliant play possible. Is people get hooked on Ted Lasso. Now here you go. Here, go watch the real thing. F1, Drive to Survive. Everybody wants to go to F1 races now because of the Netflix documentary. So, yeah, watch Ted Lasso and then go watch a real game.
yeah, I think for something like Apple TV, it's a good business plan. So obviously it helps when you have probably the best player of all time. So we'll see how successful it is when he's not there. But so far, credit to them.
Yeah, and I think to jump on and to jump into that before I move on to another topic, well, for the later part of the show that I want to talk about before we get ourselves here, before I move on, is that Apple TV Plus is actually both MLS and Major League Baseball actually own the rights to them, and I think that also is it also is a part of that for this example, and I think that and I think with Peacock you got a thing called MLB Sunday Leadoff, which airs on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock, and that's also another part of the streaming service for many people who watch it, but not very many with all this viewership. So it's really becoming a thing nowadays than what you're used to watching back in the day compared to where we are now in the digital age. And I think that TV has changed a lot ever since we for especially rating sporting events we watch for what team you root for or whatever. It's just becoming a thing that we're used to seeing ever since what we grew up with. So I think that has changed the landscape for us shows or sports viewing experience for what the future has yet to bring us for the years ahead.
Hey, Jack, before we leave soccer, who do you have in the Women's World Cup final?
Good question.
Good question. I think I'm going to go for England.
England over Spain.
Although it could be closer than you think, but I wouldn't count out the Spain just yet. But I think I might give the edge to England for my prediction.
I think you're probably right. The Spain's best player, Putella, still recovering from a injury. She's not 100% yet. And England is coming off of back-to-back best games.
Yeah, they've been strong,
tournament.
haven't they?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm putting all my chips on Europe. I don't know if it's a good bet or a bad bet, but I'm putting all my chips on Europe to win the World Cup for the women.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
That's a 100% bet right there, my
Yeah.
friend. What kind of odds you getting on that?
Yeah.
Not great.
Half on red, half on blue, half on white on the roulette table.
You see the guy who bet $75,000 on Alabama on the money line, and if Alabama wins the game, he gets $300.
Yeah, sometimes when you know, it's
75,000
No,
to get to risking 75 to get $300.
No. He should just get a CD. If he wants that kind of payback, he should just buy a CD and be done.
Yeah,
with
there's
it.
safer ways to make that, isn't there?
Yeah. No, I think the only catch with England would be James is coming back off of the 2-game suspension.
That's right. Yeah, you think
But
she won't start, would she?
I don't see how you can start her when she wasn't playing and
they bring her off the bench if they need some creativity.
They played great against Colombia and played great against the Matildas.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with England as well, mostly because from what I've seen the last couple of games, they've got players they can bring off the bench that could really affect a game or grab a goal. Yeah. So if it's like a tight game, 0-0, maybe even to extra time, I feel like England would be able to bring experience off the bench. So.
There was a woman in Australia. She has these, they call them the mystic meerkats, little animals that are jumping in the buckets. They all picked England to win. And apparently these meerkats have picked the last in the playoffs. They picked all the winners. So there you go. The meerkats say England.
There you go.
As good a prediction as you'll hear.
as great of a predictor. That's right. Of a great predictor. If you said it first, of the Meerkats of Australia, there's nothing quite like it for what the Women's World Cup has to offer, which only comes every 4 years, and there's nothing quite like it for what has yet to come for the upcoming World Cup final. So I want to get back to. All right, so I want to give you a score update right now. I got another score update right now on. I'm going to bring it to you now on Good Guy Sports. Nationals 6-1 over the Red Sox right now, and after after saying the score and after reading the score out with there you go, your bubblehead. and and after and after and after and after and after reading out the score reading out the score as it stands right now with the 6-1 with the bottom of the sixth with the Red Sox only scored one, but the Nationals now have 6 earned runs. That is not I know it just makes me painful to hear this, but with the Nationals winning in that game, that is not going to make Cousin David that happy if he's listening to us, which I hope he isn't, but you never know. But he is a Red Sox fan. He gets tickets to every home game there every once in a while, and he does. And I can tell you, with family that we have up there, they do not like where their team is headed so far after giving up 6 runs to the opposing pitcher, to Chris Sale, who I don't even know if they were wearing their Yellow City jerseys or not. Like I feel like they were. I feel like they I feel like there's
They were wearing their road blues today.
Oh, right. But well, right. That's that explains it a lot. But back to my point here. So like their city Yellow City jerseys that they were wearing, whatever they're called, they find some hope, and there's always and they always find ways to win whenever they're like wearing those jerseys. But like you said, they're wearing blue jerseys, and those Red Sox fans up there, and for family that's who's listening to us up there, which I hope I gave them a shout out, but I'm not sure if they're going to make it push for the playoffs. They're not even near. I don't think they're even near for like a wild card spot. Well, they're 6-3 and 57 right now for the record as it currently stands. But if they drop this one, and if they lose this one, and although the Red Sox did split the series against you guys yesterday, I think you guys lost to them, but before that you guys won. Now you guys are winning 8-1 now. It's getting worse for anybody who's listening up in Boston. Yeah, they do not want to hear what the score is right now, because it's getting a lot worse, and it's just going to get ugly up there for the Naturals and for the family up there. And yeah, it's gonna be some long suffering fans up in Beantown right now.
It's just one game. It's just one game. You might be that dramatic about it.
Well, the Sox are 3 games out of the wild card, so they still could come in.
They need the game, to be fair. Yeah, it's definitely not there's still stakes for sure. Yeah. Is there anything we want to touch upon before we wrap things up, Jack? We got about 5 minutes left.
Yes, so I do want to actually wrap up and get some close this out with something that I want to share with anybody that from where Uncle Mike was last weekend, that I actually want to bring Blake Lumberger do this competition with us. If you like, which I will be happy to. Which is that Uncle Mike was at the Nationals game for a batting practice, and there was a, I don't know, there was just a crowd with a press conference answering questions to one of the players, and it just gives me an example of that, because Blake Lumberger actually has some special access to a press conference at one of the Gardner-Webb athletic facilities, and I want to give you a perfect example of that. And then on Sunday, you like you always do, you guys always go to the games like you do every Sunday whenever there's a home game, depending on, well, I would say select game, but that's also what I want to close out with. And then I want to talk about that for a second, which I kind of want to get to before I close out with another
Did he get a question in? Did Mike get a question for Good Guy Sports in at the game?
I don't know. I wasn't there because, but I did send you a text and let me tell
he's
you,
a part of the show.
you would have loved
Good
it.
Guy Sports.
You would have loved it, and maybe your grandkids would have loved this experience. And I think you would be all in if I were with you on this trip.
I mean, I think you would say, Mike, throw me here with Good Guy Sports, and then he just delivers that amazing question that you give us, Jack. We're just voices for you. Just give us the questions and we'll ask them.
All that I know is that he sent pictures, and that's about it. I wasn't there. He didn't send any videos, and I was kind of disappointed with that. But at least you give the idea of how we should really attend these things, and I think you should be really part of it, probably sometime in the future.
Did he ask, why did you guys not get the streak going a little earlier? We're doing great right now, but it might be too late, guys. It's a game of streaks. I get it, but you gotta make the playoffs. We're burning it up right now, but we gotta make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Finnegan was the guy. Our reliever was all the questions had been filtered out. They were all screened in before. So
okay.
So they weren't taking any.
You didn't bother saying, Kyle, are the Nationals finna get hot again next year?
We're going to be real hot next year.
Finna get hot next year again?
Yeah.
Kyle? I don't know. Just something. That's all I got right now. We'll workshop that later. But finna get hot again next year? Kyle? There we go. All right.
You got to get hotter and stronger, and that way.
Finna get hot next year.
Kyle Finnegan is one of their star players on the team who was listening to the crowd. That's what I want to. That is a perfect example. Even though it was on the pro level, well, for Gardner-Webb, for their press conferences, they're on the collegiate level, and it's nowhere going to be. It's nowhere going to be close to that, to this comparison that where Uncle Mike was at this past weekend.
It's not going to be as hard to get a question. I'll put it like that, Jack. They'll say, "Hey, Blake from Good Guy Sports, right? Go ahead with your question." They'll know me by name. It'll be like it'll be like the press conference room when a team's bad early on, and then there's few reporters, and then there's a lot more later on. So season 1, it'll be season 1 when we get in there.
I like it. Hopefully, if we make this happen for the trip, who knows? I think bigger and better things are yet to come, and I sure hope one of these days you get to meet Uncle Mike, and who knows, have a great connection from your grandkids and Uncle Mike's grandkids, because we're a family show, and I just have to do a quick shout out to that and have to point that out, and that's what I think that's what we're all in for this for what the future has yet to come from what the show has yet to come for our future.
Absolutely. We're all about family,
passing
right?
Duke Street, Jackson. I'm passing Duke Street right now.
Where are you?
I'm in the Triangle, baby. I'm headed to the Triangle.
What are you doing up there?
the big city of Raleigh, North Carolina. Got to do some investigative reporting. We got to get boots on the ground about these Wolfpack guys.
It sounds like you're headed towards.
Blake's got Duke covered. I got to get Wolfpack. I got to cover some Wolfpack stuff.
It sounds like you're headed towards my brother's way to that apartment complex. If you have no idea where that is.
Yeah, it's up in my neck of the woods, huh?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Sounds like victory.
And I think you should and I think that you should
Oh, sorry, I'm distracting you, Jackson. Let me cut that camera back off. Here we go.
really head up
You want to wrap the show up now, Jack? I think it's 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
really head out. You should really head towards Blake's apartment. Do you know where Rod
Hey,
Not
don't
tonight.
give
No,
the address out. No.
I know.
We can't be
And we got
doing
to
that.
get Mike out of here. He's been in the sun over there at the stadium.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right, Jack, take us home. Wrap us
All
up
right.
here.
with Blake Weinberger closing us out with the show on the road, whatever it is he's doing. For whatever he's heading with Good Guy Sports, signing out in the area where Blake Gerke is, and Good Guy Sports just had a lot to say, but this is Jackson Gerke. Anyway, just a lot of excitement going on here. But anyway, Good Guy Sports with Jackson Gerke, Mike Roby, and Blake Gerke sign out. Blake Weinberger, stay safe and enjoy your time in the Triangle. Love to keep in touch with you and drive safe, Blake. Love chatting with you, and hopefully we'll talk to Blake soon. Have fun. You enjoy yourself up in the Triangle, even though you're not far from Blake Gerke. But stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. And let's keep in touch with you more often.
All right. Thanks for having us
Right.
on, Jack. Thanks for a good show
Thanks,
today.
Jackson. Great show.
See you, Blake. Drive safe.
Bye.
Bye.